Hello, I'm Chris McCarthy from the American Chemical Society. Welcome to this media briefing from ACS Fall 2022. Despite the growing popularity of electric vehicles, many consumers still hesitate to make the switch. One reason is that it takes so much longer to power up an electric car than it does to gas up a conventional one. But speeding up the charging process can damage the battery and reduce its lifespan. Now, scientists are reporting at the ACS meeting that they've designed super fast charging methods tailored to power different types of electric vehicle batteries in 10 minutes or less without harm. We're joined today by Dr. Eric Dufek from Idaho National Laboratory. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Chris.
So could you talk a little bit about what you were trying to find out with this research?
So really what we're trying to look at is addressing one of the key hurdles to the adoption of electric vehicles, which is how do we actually charge electric vehicles in a fashion that's very similar to how people are used to using internal combustion engine vehicles. So how do we do it fast so that they can go on the long trips or help, individuals that maybe can't charge at home?
So what are the biggest obstacles to speeding up this charging process?
So really one of the key limitations is how fast you can actually move the lithium ions back and forth across the battery. So what we've done is really develop different types of charge protocols as well as advanced electrolytes that allow us to move those lithium ions back and forth much faster and to minimize the other degradation that's associated with fast charging.
And I heard that you're using machine learning to solve this problem. Could you talk about the advantages of using machine learning to solve a problem like that?
So a lot of the advantages of what we're really doing with machine learning is trying to understand and rapidly identify failure modes, because that allows us to then go in and say, we're failing or the battery's starting to fail in this fashion. So what we can do is then go in and consider whether or not we actually need to adapt the protocol or modify things to actually improve the overall performance.
How could this improve existing products?
So if you think about kind of how most electric vehicles batteries, kind of charge right now, even if you're doing a fast charge, you're looking at maybe 25 to maybe about 30 minutes total. If we can actually advance with extreme fast charging and be able to charge batteries in 10 minutes or less, it completely changes kind of the dynamic of, those long road trips that you're going on where maybe instead of, having to spend 20 or 30 minutes charging your vehicle, you can do it in 10 minutes, which is a huge benefit in terms of, how we push adoption really across the United States.
So do different electric vehicle batteries, do they have different needs that you kind of have to assess and sort of have a different process for how you would charge the battery?
So each battery is, very slightly different. Lots of the batteries that are actually in automotive vehicles are relatively similar, but there are slight nuances from battery to battery. And especially when you start looking at how the batteries are fully designed, kind of at the pack level, that's where you need to start taking a lot of other considerations, and not just how the battery is designed, but also however what you're doing with that battery cascades to the electric vehicle infrastructure as well.
Could these improvements have applications in other devices that use lithium-ion batteries?
A lot of what we do would have, applications outside the space of electric vehicles. Most of those you don't necessarily have to have as fast of charging as you would want to see in a vehicle, though.
Could you tell us a little bit about some of the results that you found in your research?
So using the combination of electrolytes and advanced protocols and a few other cell design modifications, really our team and the other collaborators that we have from other national labs were able to achieve over 90% charge acceptance without plating lithium metal, which is one of the key failure mechanisms. And we were able to actually extend that all the way out through at least 600 cycles. We still have some cells that are going right now. And still maintaining well over 80% charge acceptance kind of over the course of that testing.
What are the next steps for your work?
Really next steps, what we're really looking at moving forward in is, how to continue to advance fast charge capability, increase the energy of the cells that we can actually, look at fast charging and, overall just, continued optimization so that we can keep moving this path forward.
And what would you want our viewers to take away from your research?
The main really high level takeaway is that we're looking at fast charging so that we can get that mass adoption of electric vehicles to the consumer without impacting, kind of the standards of living that we're used to.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your work with us.
Thank you very much.
Be sure to check out our other media briefings for ACS Fall 2022, which will be posted throughout the meeting at www.acs.org/ACS Fall 2022 briefings.